Have you ever come across a situation like this? The exact same property. Valuer A assesses it at $2.5 million. Valuer B assesses it at $3.0 million. That is a staggering $500,000 gap. Most everyday buyers look at this and immediately think, is someone just pulling numbers out of thin air? Isn't valuation just looking up past sales data? Why can't it just be like a math problem with one single definitive answer? But let me tell you the truth, the real world of professional property valuation is far more complex than you can imagine. Today, as an independent CPV valuer here in Australia, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly why two highly qualified professionals can look at the same asset and end up hundreds of thousands of dollars apart. More importantly, I'm going to tell you whose logic will actually survive an ATO audit, a Supreme Court dispute, a conservative bank valuation, or a rigorous rebuttal challenge. There is a massive misconception out there that our job boils down to logging into RP data, pulling 3 recent sales, averaging them out, and calling it a day. If it were that simple, automated algorithms would have replaced us years ago. Real valuation, at its core, is the application of professional judgment based on market evidence. Here is the golden rule you need to understand. Market evidence does not speak for itself. A certified valuer must meticulously interpret that evidence. They have to articulate which sale is truly relevant, which transaction carries the highest weight of evidence, which anomalous sale should be completely excluded. How should the adjustments be structured? Was the market driven by irrational exuberance, or was it in a state of quiet panic? What was the underlying psychology of the buyer at that specific moment? Therefore, two valuers, even with the exact same level of experience, can arrive at drastically different outcomes simply because their fundamental methodology and interpretation of the evidence differ. This is the most common culprit, the selection of comparable sales. Let's look at a real-world scenario involving a premium property in Sydney. Valuer A takes a highly localized approach. He restricts his search strictly within the administrative suburb boundary, despite a severe lack of recent, high-quality transactions. Valuer B, however, recognizes the scarcity. He expands the search radially into a neighboring, more premium suburb that shares the exact same socioeconomic demographic and buyer profile. Look at what just happened. Their baselines, their benchmarks, were completely misaligned from day one. Then there's the element of time. One valuer might prioritize hyper-recent sales within a 3-month window to capture immediate momentum. Another might argue that due to current market volatility, they need to expand the timeline to 12 months to smooth out the noise and capture the macroeconomic trend. Furthermore, a transaction that looks perfectly normal on paper often hides critical market distortions. Was it a divorce settlement, a mortgagee repossession, a distressed vendor, an unpublicized building defect? Amateurs look at data points. Elite valuers look at human behavior. Your interpretation of how clean a piece of evidence is will instantly shift your valuation by hundreds of thousands. What separates a Tier 1 expert from a baseline template filler isn't the ability to find data, it's the mastery of the adjustment process. In real estate, the perfect match does not exist. Every single comparable sale requires surgical adjustments to align it with the target asset. Let's say our subject property features double secure parking, an unobstructed north-facing aspect, a bespoke architectural fit-out, and internal garage access. But the available market comparables lack these attributes. The question is, what is the exact dollar value of those premiums? This is where valuation transitions from a science into elite-level economic analysis. A transactional valuer might look at a manual standard scale and assign a generic $20,000 adjustment for the extra car space. But a specialist CPV understands localized market nuances. In land scarce, high-density pockets of Sydney or Melbourne, that second parking spot changes the asset class entirely. It can command $80,000 to $100,000 in actual market value. Take view adjustments. A basic report treats a panoramic harbor view as a minor percentage premium. An expert litigation valuer knows that a clear view of an iconic landmark fundamentally changes buyer behavior, unlocking a tier of ultra-high net worth premium that completely breaks standard linear models. Then there are the intangibles, the flow of the floor plan, the level of acoustic privacy, the architectural street appeal, and emotional buyer reaction. These variables cannot be solved by a generic Excel spreadsheet. They dictate market reality, and they require seasoned experience, deep market immersion, and bulletproof logical reasoning. This is an industry reality that many are completely blind to. The numbers can legitimately and legally vary depending on the underlying valuation purpose. First, consider mortgage lending valuations. The bank's fundamental driver is risk mitigation. Their core question is, what can we realistically liquidate this asset for within a strict 3 to 6 month window? Naturally, their figures will lean toward the highly conservative end. Second, look at capital gains tax or litigation valuations for the ATO. The Australian Taxation Office demands to see fair market value supported by an unassailable audit trail of evidence. Every single adjustment must be transparent and logical. Third, in family law or Supreme Court proceedings, the court values one thing above all else: reasoning, transparency, and the absolute independence of the expert witness. A poorly structured report, even if the final number feels right, will be utterly systematically dismantled by opposing counsel during cross-examination. Fourth, in a developer or acquisition context, an everyday residential buyer looks at a site and sees a $3 million family home. A developer looks at that exact same parcel, analyzes the zoning, calculates the yield, and sees $3.8 million based on its highest and best use. So, property valuation is never just about asking, what is this property worth? The real question is, within what specific legal, financial, and market context is this asset being valued? Now, let's be completely transparent. Not every gap in valuation numbers is justified by professional methodology. There is a dark side to this industry. We frequently encounter lazy valuations, automated desktop valuation models generated by software that has never seen the property, uninspected site reports, and completely unsupported adjustments. The flawed logic of a low-cost, high-volume operation is simple. They guess a number that keeps the client happy first, and then they retroactively manipulate the comparable sales to try and match that number. That strategy works fine when the waters are calm, but the moment that asset is subjected to an ATO audit or judicial cross-examination, that entire report collapses like a house of cards. A truly professional valuation doesn't produce numbers that just look convenient. It ensures that every comparable selection, every methodology choice, and every decimal point of adjustment is legally defensible. This brings us to the apex of our profession. The true test of an elite valuation specialist doesn't happen during a routine appraisal. It happens during a rebuttal. When a massive legal outcome is on the line and an opposing report threatens your position, an elite litigation valuer must possess the capability to dissect the flawed methodology of the opposing report and identify hidden biases. They must rebuild a bulletproof valuation logic grounded in law and defend that position under intense scrutiny. When you engage a seasoned litigation valuer, you are investing in a logic that can protect your wealth. So, the next time you see two valuers $500,000 apart, don't assume someone is wrong. Ask yourself instead, whose evidence is unassailable, whose adjustments are structurally sound, and whose report will survive scrutiny. Property valuation is never a guessing game. It is a rigorous integration of empirical market evidence, complex financial modeling, and elite professional judgment. If you value high-level, analytically rigorous property and market insights, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I am Dr. William Wei, independent CPV valuer. Thank you for watching.